I'd like to welcome everybody to this third meeting of the Board of Selectmen this year. April 12th, 2022, regular Select Board meeting. And if you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll start the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and I believe the orders have been signed by the three members here. I can see that Mary Ashcroft has joined us via Zoom. Select Board Member Kurt Hathaway is with us this evening. Select Board Member Sharon Russell and myself, Don Chaffee. So we have a full board. And the orders have been signed by us three. Joe? Do I see Joe on there?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that print is so small that these squinting eyes can't see it. Welcome, Joe. And we have Joe DiNardo also joining us via Zoom. So we have a full board this evening, and we have signed the orders. If Mary and Joe could get in the office and sign them, we'll have a full complement on that. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes for March 29th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Joe has moved to approve. Mary has made a second. And is there any discussion or deletions, additions, or corrections to the minutes? Anyone? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes have been approved. We'll sign them now. And while we're signing them, are there any announcements from any of the board members? Mary?
Yeah, just a reminder that the deadline for applications for the Rutland Town Scholarship is noon on Friday, April 29th. There is an article in the Circle reminding folks about it, but since the Circle isn't out yet, I thought I would remind people.
Thank you, Mary. That's a good reminder, and be sure and get those in. Any other announcements, board members? Joe?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
You good? Sharon?
I'm good.
Kurt?
I'm all set.
I have one, and it's, you can see, well, you may not have the agenda out there in the audience. After our first two meetings, I've decided to make a policy change here, out of pure courtesy to our department heads. We have probably some of the finest department heads in the state of Vermont sitting right here in this room and amongst us. And I just feel after the first two meetings, a little frustrated that people that work a full 8-hour day and more would have to stay here until 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's simply not fair. So I moved the department head reports up to the beginning of the meeting, and that's where they'll be until further notice. And if any department head has a piece of business that would be on the new business section, then we'll take it under the department head report. And I just want to let the department heads know that you are perfectly free to leave the meeting after you give your report. No problem. And that's it. Now, the next order of business would be any member of the public who's not on the agenda that would like to speak to the board. Yes.
Thank you.
have a microphone.
I will.
Lydia, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
No, yeah, that's good.
The green light's on, so I should be
You can
good.
use that
Yeah.
one.
Yes, I'm Lydia Moriarty Flynn. I'm a resident of Rutland Town. And I noticed on your March 15th meeting, there was an inaccuracy reported. And so I'd like to bring that to your attention and see if we could get some clarification.
Or get accuracy.
That would be even better. Okay, it has to do with the postcards that the fire department mailed.
Yes.
And the assistant chief said, and I'm reading from the minutes, the list he requested was not complete and the error was on his end. It only included property owners and it inadvertently left out renters and et cetera. That is not accurate.
What is the accurate?
I don't know, and that's what I'm asking the board.
Okay, I'm confused. If you don't, you're saying it's inaccurate.
What's the inaccurate part?
I received a postcard
Okay,
Oh, and
Okay.
you're a renter.
and I'm a renter.
okay.
Okay, what's the address that you received it at?
It's Lydia A. Moriarty Flynn, 991 Prospect Hill Road, Rutland, Vermont. It appears to come from some type of mailing list.
Okay.
Is Dell on?
Hmm.
Oh, boy.
Is Chris on?
I don't know if Chris would know.
Chris, are you on the Zoom? Well,
So I have an easy solution, which would be if the board could share how many postcards were purchased, how many were mailed, and to whom or how it was determined who they were mailed to.
okay. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that when we do mailings such as this, we use a mailing list that's in the clerk's office, that's a regular mailing list that's mailed out, like for the circle, for other town notices that we might send. So I'm assuming that it was that. It's not something that anybody makes up individually for a particular purpose. It's a mailing list that's already there. So have you received do you receive the circle at that address as well?
I do.
Okay, so it could be that, but we'll definitely get you an answer.
Thank you. And who should I expect to hear from
from me,
and by when?
as soon as I can get the information.
By when?
Well, I'll actually, the assistant chief,
Is the one that,
Dell is one that was responsible for the mailing. So I'll get a hold of him and I'll have him contact you personally as soon as he gets it. And obviously he knows that. I would assume it would be the end of this week or early next week at the latest.
Perhaps it would just be cleaner and easier if you just reported at the next meeting in 2 weeks.
That'll be
This
fine.
isn't urgent, so
That'll
I'll
be
look
fine
forward
as
to
well.
that
Yep,
at the next meeting. We'll know how many postcards were purchased,
okay.
how many were mailed,
I think 5,000 were purchased because it was cheaper than 3,500.
Say that again, Ed.
5,000 were purchased, from memory serves me correct. The only reason we did that is because it was cheaper to order 5,000 than it was. So
Right. There's a bracket that you order by and, you don't save any money by ordering less. So that's 5 were purchased and and you want to know how many were mailed?
how many were mailed, and what list was used or how it was determined who received them.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a very good meeting.
Thank you. Take care, Lydia. Is there anyone else that's here? Yes, Mike. I believe this is Mike Robe's show.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And I would just say, forgive me if some of this is premature or redundant, but I have concern that my particular concerns regarding the water issue won't be addressed in the new business portion later on in the evening. The Otter Creek Engineering.
Okay,
So I want to just take the opportunity to address you if I could, keeping in mind that maybe new information is available that I'm not privy to. But we had met 2 weeks ago and I had requested a meeting. That meeting did not come to fruition. It was deferred to the update this evening, which again, I don't think is going to address my specific concern regarding the cost of hookup to the existing project as it stands now.
Okay, Bill,
Yeah.
we're going to receive a live report tonight.
Robert Clark said he was expecting to attend.
Okay,
In new business, there is to review the bids, recommendation for that project.
right. And Kurt has that
Yep.
on his agenda as committee chair. So if you don't mind, I mean, if you stay
Sure.
and Robert Clark is here, then I have no problem with you addressing him with your concerns.
Well, I guess what I would like to do is just say what I have to say. And then if I need to say anything else, I could.
That's
say
fine
it
too. That's
that
fine
time.
too.
Because again, the concern is not, he would not be able to address my concerns, which is the town passing the cost of the hookup to the water line onto the owners, specifically me. So I feel that there's a liability issue at stake here. So at this point, unless there is some change or new information, I wanted to inform the board that I will be filing a legal suit against the town, seeking compensation for damages done to my property, specifically regarding the water quality issue, which I believe that you're all aware of with the salt. And if you would just grant me just 2 more minutes, I'd like to just read a prepared statement, specifically doing a root cause analysis of why I feel we haven't been able to resolve this issue as of yet.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The past few years have been an unprecedented time of public unrest, at least in my lifetime. Issues of social justice and personal freedom have been at the forefront of news and social media. It begs the question, why is it so hard for inherently good people to do the right thing or even to agree on what the right thing is? After all, we all agree on a few universal truths. Love your neighbor as yourself and treat others how you want to be treated. Seems simple enough. However, there is truth, which is reality, what is, and there is perception, our interpretation of the truth. It is perception which enabled the makers of a recent documentary to extol the virtues of Joseph Stalin as a great and inspiring patriotic leader. Human nature is such that we are naturally inclined to spin or interpret things in our favor. The reason for this is twofold. One, it makes us feel better about ourselves as we take the moral high ground. And 2, we naturally see the deficiencies and defects in others more readily than we see them in ourselves. Why do good people do that? It doesn't seem right, and indeed it's not. Why do we find doing the right thing so difficult? I would like to offer an explanation and would ask you to give it some serious consideration. First, we need to reconsider the term good. The Bible says that there is no one who does good, there are none righteous, not even one, and that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Jesus once told a young man, "Only God is good." This week in particular, as we look towards Good Friday and Easter Sunday, we are reminded of the cost paid to reconcile fallen humanity to God. The death of the Son of God seems to be quite an overpayment for people who are inherently good. Only as we embrace the truth of our fallen and sinful condition and turn from it is there hope of mercy, forgiveness, and reconciliation through the only one who lived a truly righteous and good life. I thank you for your time and pray God would grant you wisdom as you consider these things and also in the decisions you have to make as a board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else, either on the Zoom or here at the meeting, that would like to address the board on an issue that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the department head reports. And the very first report is Kari Clark, our town clerk and treasurer.
Larry
Oh.
Delvenary is on.
What?
Larry is on now. Larry Delvenary, it looks like is on now.
Okay.
You ready for me, Don?
Yes, Kari, go ahead.
I have very limited things to say tonight, mainly clerk things, not treasurer things. First thing, I was able to talk to most people in town hall. It's kind of a fun idea, but I was approached by email to see if anyone that works in town hall in the building, including police, would wear blue tomorrow, April 13th. And it's in support of the child abuse prevention that we support, the prevention that we have out front. That's the windmill mills that we have going. And if we would be so kind to take a photo, I know someone who has offered from our building to take that photo, and we can send it along with Amber Dumas. She'd like to feature Town Hall and the police department as supporters of this. So that would be fun and greatly appreciated, especially for such a good cause.
Thank you, Kari. That
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. The second thing, it's more like clerk side. So I have green up bags in the office, as does Dell, have some at the transfer station. And I had a nice conversation with Sarah from the school, the principal there. And we were talking about what the school has set up for Green Up Day. And they're all taken care of. And they thought it would be fun if we promoted it as well. And I think it's a great idea too. Just get out in your community, come get a bag at Town Hall if you hear this message, and we'll be happy to give you the bags, and you can clean up your development or your roads or your neighborhood or go help at the school. It would be great and fun, and hopefully a great day to do it. A little PR there.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead, Don.
no, I was just, I saw that Keith Whitcomb has joined us and is with us, and that would be good to get in the article, Keith, if you do one, to make sure that people know that they can pick up those green up bags. We've been pretty proud to have participated in Green Up Day for about as long as I can remember, way back from when one of my fellow teachers and I managed to get a helicopter right down onto the school property with a kickoff, and Dave Dickinson was chairman of that committee that year. And it's been a great program, and it's done a lot to clean up our town and keep it clean. So we appreciate that.
It's also
Go
pretty
ahead,
amazing
Kari.
that Sarah and I were talking, and the children really love to do stuff like that. She was in particular talking about her daughter and how excited she gets to help clean up her community. And I think that's a great way to get others involved too and keep our community clean and the way it should be. So thank you, Don.
For those that may not remember, because it was ancient history, that other teacher's name was May Shaw, and she was a real sweet gal and a wonderful teacher, and that was a long time ago, but we had so much fun and accomplished so much with that it was a great program.
I agree. And really the last thing is the fact that I do realize that redistricting is going to happen. It has passed. And I've had a couple questions from residents on what I know about it. And basically we're taking word as we go along from the state of Vermont Elections Department, because this is basically going to affect a race in certain elections. And really that's about it. Nobody else should worry about, no, we're not moving you certain places. You will still vote in your voting area. It's going to be more on Susan and I and how that looks and the ballots, who gets what ballot for what race. So behind the scenes, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. And it could warrant a couple meetings with the BCA just to discuss that as we move forward for the August election. But right now, that's what we know. We've been told to keep an eye out for a spreadsheet where we are going to assign the certain districts to certain streets. And being with the education background that I have, my mind is already thinking about how to make it easier on voters on voting day. You don't want to come in and vote and have something very hard to think about. So I'm thinking a lot of visual signs. So be on the lookout. We'll keep updated. We'll certainly tell you as soon as the information's out there what we know. But right now, this is what we know.
I can tell you that both parties in our town, the Democrats and the Republicans in our town, are organizing, and there will be a meeting next Monday over at the West Rutland Town Hall. It's already been called. That was called by the Republican caucus, and I'm sure that Mary might be able to add something from the Democratic caucus afterwards. But that meeting has been called by the two representatives for that District 2, which is Art Peterson. Yeah, no, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Art Peterson and Tom Burdett. I'm sorry, I just had a senior moment there. And they've called that meeting for 6 o'clock next Monday. And there will be other meetings, they said. So we should have some more information at that meeting. And Mary, do you have anything to offer on the Democratic Party side?
No, I just point out that the two Republicans are the incumbents. And I've not been notified that this is a public meeting. And is it a public meeting or is it a Republican district meeting?
I think that one is a Republican district meeting because the BCA, the BCA members were notified, all of them. And
no, I think the Republican BCA members were notified.
Well, I'm not.
I did
I'm
not
sure.
I didn't receive notification.
Have the Democrats caucus to have any meetings concerning the redistricting? To your knowledge?
I think the bill was just passed or signed by the governor last week. So no, we haven't.
Okay. Well, let us know if, and we'll make it public so that the public can attend. In any case, Kari, you have further?
I had a slight question. It's building related, so maybe it's not a public question and it goes before the building committee. It's just a suggestion about our bathrooms and the restrooms. Do you think that that's more of a kind of a building committee question?
Yeah, probably.
All right.
But go ahead and enter it now since you're giving your report, and then they can address it when they take over.
Absolutely. I was just wondering if we could come up with a solution for having just 2 bathrooms right now. What we could do to have one be designated for the employees and one for the public. And that's just an idea, certainly something that I'm willing to talk about and be flexible, but that was what I was thinking.
Okay. We'll have them discuss it.
All right. And that's really it.
Good.
Don, there's a question under new business, the use of ARPA funds as lost revenue. And while Kari is there, Does she have any guidance for us on that? I know she was tracking it.
Well, we're gonna vote on it tonight, so that's, that's what we'll do.
Well, that's why I
That's what's
was
required.
that's why I was asking for her guidance on it.
Kari, you want to address that? That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have two options. I think I kind of went over a little bit of them last time, where the town isn't receiving $10 million or more in total from the ARPA funds. And because of that, we have the option to vote as a town or as a select board to take kind of the easier route in reporting, in my eyes, and vote that we use our money, which is a little over $1 million, as lost revenue. Therefore, we don't have to itemize everything we do with that money. It's a lot simpler process. And it's open for anyone under getting funds under $10 million, and that is us.
Right.
I guess if I could do a follow-up.
Please.
Okay, well, my question was, and I know you were going to check in with our auditor on this.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have to be careful about not taking $750,000 in any given year.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any recommendation that we, along with the motion to designate this as lost revenue, that we split it half in, say, this fiscal year and half in next fiscal year? Did he have any recommendation for us on that?
No, I did speak to him briefly about several different things, and it was a very brief conversation. I haven't had the chance to sit down and talk with him. I will in a couple of weeks, he said. So that was not anything that we discussed.
We can further discuss this under A of new business, Mary, when we get there. I think let the rest of the board chime in on this. There's a number of different options that'll work on this, but your point is well taken. We're not going to spend over 750,000 in a single year. So is that it, Kari? Do you?
I believe that's it. If anyone has any questions, they can ask.
No, if anyone else has any questions, Sharon, you all set?
No, I'm good.
Kurt?
I'm good for now.
Joe?
All set.
Thank
Okay,
you.
fine. Thank you. Thank you, Kari.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Yes, happy Easter to you.
Hopefully we'll see each other before Easter, but as well.
Our next report will be from Barbara Noyes Pulling, our Town Planning Commission Chair. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, everyone. Good to have some spring-like weather finally, or almost a full day of it. Just have one thing to bring up with you tonight, and it pertains to the Pocket Park and some of the questions we had last time about right-of-ways. So I've got some new information and clarification from both VTrans and the Clarendon and Pittsford Railroad about those things. So you have a new map in front of you. There's a new larger map on the easel. There are some new things on there. And so, Bill, I'm going to share my screen and we'll give this a whirl so I can put this up for others to see as well. And hang on just a sec. Okay, that's up on the screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so VTrans had some outdated mapping for the rights of way. And this green line indicates the new information they have, the new data, because they looked up and in the town records, the old right-of-way, the one that ran down Simons Avenue and ran across the old Business Route 4, that was very outdated. That land was relinquished to the town of Rutland in 1997, and the town accepted that. So this is V-Trans right-of-way right now, this green line coming up Business Route 4, a little bit down Simons, then straight across here, and underneath this green line in this area is the end of this parcel, is the parcel line that GMP owns here. And then it goes back up this way. So everything along Simons Avenue and Old Business Route 4, that is town property. So I talked to them, so we made this new map with them and talked to them about, now that we know for sure what their right-of-way is, we had some things in there. We had some signs and we had a trail down to a boat launch in there. And so I got their thoughts about that as well. And they're okay they'll probably have some conditions if we do build a trail down to Otter Creek from the parking lot, which is now in town land, and put a boat launch down there. They want us to decide on something first, and it's unrelated, but it's the Daughters of American Revolution watering trough that's tucked in over in this other side of Otter Creek. And we thought about moving it up to where like the Meads Falls historical sign is, kind of put historical things together up there. They don't want to see that. They don't want the watering trough in this right of way because it could be a traffic hazard. It's a fixed object, and if someone came flying off the highway and hit that, they probably would destroy the watering trough, but they probably would, they may hurt themselves too and their vehicle. So I've made some changes in the list. And so I've moved the watering trough down to the south end of the park and somewhere between that parking lot and the overlook. And so to, alleviate those concerns that they had for that. And then, if we decide to do that and make some sort of commitment to them, they will let us know what kind of special conditions they would put on this special trail up here. So the watering trough moves from, it was a number 1, now it's down here, number 10. And another thing in the right-of-way area that they would not, we had a safety sign for those going down the path to the boat launch, something about, something that would indicate that there was flooding happening or a combined sewer overflow. They don't want that in the right-of-way, and we can easily put that at the parking lot there. So that's V-Trans, and they've been very easy to work with, and they're very supportive of this project. I also went and checked on the railroad right-of-way here, and that's the Clarendon and Pittsford now. Amtrak uses that now, and had several conversations with the general manager there. And there are no right-of-ways for railroads per se. It goes by property lines. So we've got, this is also part of, the Pocket Park and the GMP parcel. So this line here would be the property line between GMP and the railroad. So nothing could be, go across that line, and we don't have anything. And some of these things, we could move picnic tables anyway. and one was to improve the trail that anglers use. And they were kind of nonplussed about that. I guess they thought if it got too improved, there'd be too much competition for the fish. So we can keep this stuff here or we can move it. But it's okay to be here. So, you know, the new survey that we have should definitely give us the best idea of where this line is, because there are some markers along that line. The railroad had some suggestions too for us, because Amtrak is going to be increasing traffic. More trains are going to be using this line. They were a little concerned about people wandering across the boundary line and getting too close to the tracks. We do have in here, in number 13 of our suggestions, is more fencing to keep people away. So we may want to keep that in as we proceed. So any questions on the map while I have it up?
Nice bit of work, Barbara, on straightening out those rights of way. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, V-Trans did a lot of work, and and the railroad and I were going back and forth like, what right of way? But there is no right of way. But I would say both parties have been very easy to work with, and I think will be cooperative as this proceeds.
I am so looking forward to see a shovel go in the ground, Barbara.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people, I think, are. But we've got a little ways to go. We do need a full, professional design. That should be the next step, along with just, keeping the conversation going, getting volunteers, thinking about what they could do, and what roles they could play.
Okay.
All that. So I think we've jumped over the hurdles that have been put in our way.
Good. You got more, Barbara, or is that it?
That's pretty much it. So I'll put all this stuff in the final report for you, and maybe have that for you for your next meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much. And you
Don,
have a happy. Yes, questions for Barbara?
Well, no, it
Go
was
ahead,
just
Mary.
a comment. I joined the Planning Commission at their last meeting. The Selectboard's Energy Committee is working with a subcommittee of the Planning Commission on the questionnaire, the energy questionnaire that will be going out to town residents. And we've got a working session coming up we ended up doing it on Thursday, 9 o'clock.
Oh, I thought it was Friday.
Different meeting on Friday.
Oh, okay. Good. We look forward to your report. Okay, Barb.
Yeah, that's all I have, unless there's any other questions.
Okay. You have a happy Easter, and thank you very much.
You too, everyone.
Our next report will be from Ed Dumas, our town police chief. Good evening, Ed.
Evening. Few things. First, I'd have to agree with you that people are bent on evil, at least in my perspective, as I see. The other thing is we had 66 calls for service. Again, a lot of them are in the south end of the town as usual. We did have a meeting with DCF last week. I think it was Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Don was there, Sharon and Kurt. We discussed the new homeless shelter on the
Kurt was
south end
there.
of town, otherwise known as the Cortina Inn, and the difficulties that brings. I think they just like me I get a chance to talk to them, complain, and then that makes us feel better and we move on from there.
And it's the same old, same old.
Yes. I did have a meeting with, select board member Joe Donardo. He's our police commissioner now. I don't know who else was there. Mary, are you there? Okay. We talked about the fact that we're going over on one of my budget lines, basically our administrative secretary's line item, but there's no way around it at this point in time. I guess we put it as it was a planned, we try to pre-plan what we're going to spend, but based on what's going on at this point in time in the town and calls for service we're getting, she's there more than she was before. And with that, she was asked to also fill out this paperwork. I know that Kurt, Don, and Sharon got a thing. You get a copy of this, Mary? It's our
Sorry.
copy of the calls.
If
calls
it's
for
on,
service.
if it's on the desk, no, I didn't.
Okay. Basically, it's calls for services from 2020, 2021, and 2022, all for the south end of town, to include the Cortina Inn and all the businesses down in that area. In 2020, we had 148 calls. 2020, we had 515 complaints. And in 2022, we're at 487. We're on our way to being well over 1,000. And most of it's going to be just because of the housing issue at the Cortina Inn.
Okay, just
That
a
was that.
suggestion. I think you're compiling these in case we get into an Act 250 proceeding. I'd
I am.
suggest you go back one more year to 2019, because I think that was clearly pre-COVID. And those numbers would be clearly without any homeless sheltering. So that would be my suggestion.
I'm sure that Lynn will love to hear that.
I'm sure that'll add to the deficit.
Yes. So let's see. We also, did you guys
Well,
get
if
the
you don't want
letter
that
from,
information, you don't have to do it, but I'm trying to strengthen our Act 250
No.
case if we get into it. Okay.
No, I agree, Mary. I agree completely.
What he said.
The only issue was, I think Lynn was looking at the fact where the state and us, we switched over a computer system. She just have to get back into the old computer system to dig them out. We'll get it done though. The next thing, do you guys get the letter from Deputy Chief Washburn in reference to the grant from Peter Welch?
Yes.
Okay. So he's let him know if you have any changes with that, anything like that. I don't know if you.
I think we'll discuss that when it comes up on the agenda.
Okay, I didn't know it was on the agenda.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'll wait on it then.
Uh,
The last thing I have is a couple weeks ago, we had a slight fender bender with a truck and a rock. The rock won, truck lost, and we'll get it fixed as soon as possible. We went to a couple of places. We're gonna go to probably Crash Valves. It's much, we don't have to wait 6 months, and it's about $1,000 cheaper. So Bill has the paperwork for that. I think that's all I have at this point in time.
Did you, it came across my iPhone about an hour or so ago that the Vermont State Police have asked that no one call them unless they can't reach you folks and others, that they are only taking absolute emergencies.
So yeah, I haven't read the whole article yet, but we have in the recent last month or so, we received notice from the state police having issues on their PSAP, which is a place that dispatches for the state up in the northern part of the state, and they're short of troopers. I think they want us local police departments to restructure their departments. So if you have like a BCI or all these extra things that you do as a police officer, if you can't handle your calls for service, then you take those guys out of those fields, put them on the road and answer the calls for service. And then if you need help, the state police will come help you. That's my rough understanding. I haven't read the whole article yet, so I could be a little bit off. On something with Vermont Digger, I heard it come on. I haven't had a chance to read it. That's all I have.
Well, there's no secret that, state police's role has been diminishing and diminishing vis-a-vis local communities. I mean, that's.
Well, the bottom line is there's been a huge, or for every three officers that retire, they're hiring one on. They had over almost 1,000 people who applied for a job in the years past. Now they're down to like the pool of people want to be police officers. It's like 300 or less. So there's you want high quality people so we don't have issues, and it's getting who wants to do this job with this current temperature that the press has put out on all police, because there's a few bad apples wherever we are. The police are usually pretty good about getting rid of them, I think. But now, if we do one thing, the press crucifies us before it even goes to trial. That's just the way it is. And then you never hear about a little small line where the officer was acquitted, no charges, because he went through the process and made it. But they just make their own opinion up.
Well, hang in there just a minute, Ed. Joe, I know you have more stuff on your police committee report than just this, but since Ed is sitting here right now, would you just address the dispatcher issue and how you handle it and what your recommendation is to the board?
The administrative office secretary, we discussed that line item, Don and Mary and Kurt and Sharon. And what we came up with is right now there's currently approximately $3,800 in that line item. We have not overspent it, but the projected call volume and hours that need to be in, so that will be that one line item will be over. So the police department is just going to toe the line on other purchases that they don't need. The bottom line is that we do not anticipate a deficit in the police budget, just maybe one line, because of these unusual circumstances that when that budget was put together in 2020, nobody anticipated what we're dealing with down there on the south end of town. And so, going forward, hopefully we've allocated enough starting July 1st to cover the additional hours that are needed to work. But that's what we came up with on that. There was a couple of other things that were on there. I know everybody has the minutes. One of the important things that's on there is an upgrading of the body cams that our police officers and first and second constable wear. Ted is currently working on a grant it's a 50-50 grant, and we should be okay with that. It looks like it's approximately $34,000. So our match will be about 17, and that will be able to come out of the depreciation fund. Time the grant gets written, accepted, and probably purchasing of the new cameras, we're looking at fall, and we anticipate 2 more installments into that depreciation fund, which will cover our portion. So I think there's about 20,000 in there right now, so we should be good along those lines. But I really appreciate the work that Ted puts into the grant writing to save us quite a bit of work on it. And then we did discuss the dispatch and what's going on there, trying to come up with a solution to the state police pulling out in 2 years. And there are some pretty good plans, and I think that'll keep us posted on that as we go forward. But there's, this new call volume, the problems we're having on the south end of town have really challenged our PD, and they're doing everything they can to keep our budgets working and in place, and that's really helpful, and they're doing their absolute best. So I thank them for that. End of report.
Great, Joe. Thank you very much. So you got your marching orders, Chief. Your budget, your total budget will not be in deficit, even though the single line item might be. We'll try to squeeze it out of.
Well, it will be, because when we designed the budget, I was working for CFAC, so we're $60,000 short.
Well, I don't mean that.
Okay.
We know that.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of the rest of the budget.
No, it should be fine.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Our next report will be from Chris Clark, our town fire chief. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Don. Like usual, not much going on in the fire department. It has been a busy 2 weeks. We had 13 calls since the last meeting. We did go down to Cortina Inn once, but that was for an elevator emergency, which turned out to be nothing. So other than that, we haven't been down there in quite a while. Some news on the truck. The Allison transmission, we've been told, had a recall. So tomorrow's inspection has been canceled. So they're going to get back to us. It's being fixed right now. It should be done by Monday, they said. So won't be sending our 2 guys down there till probably the first week of May as of right now, but we haven't got a definite date yet. And that's all I got for
So
you.
they'll be able to spend the Easter holiday with their families, which will be nice. I see that your deputy chief, Larry Delvenieri, is on the Zoom call. Good evening, Larry.
Y'all wake up.
I had to unmute myself.
Yep, you.
Hi, Del.
Hi, what's up?
Well, since you're on here, Mike Robichaux had a question. No, I'm sorry.
Lydia.
I'm sorry. I'm
You're just like,
Lydia Moriarty had a question about the postcards and where the mailing list came from. And in other words, how many did you mail and what list was used to mail? Because she's a renter and she got one at her residence there on the Hathaway farm.
Okay, I got all the mailing labels from town office. I put the mailing labels on the cards, I put the stamps on the cards, and I sent them out. Simple as that.
Where did the mailing list come from? I didn't hear you.
It came from town hall.
Okay.
Kari got it for me.
And how many were mailed out?
A little over 1,000, I believe.
Yeah. If you could have that, just have that information for the next meeting, that would be fine. But she wanted to know how many were printed. Well, we know you ordered 5,000 because of the brackets of ordering.
Exactly.
And she wanted to know how many were mailed and what list was used to mail them.
Not a problem.
Because, I guess because you had said, I guess at the last meeting that you had said that you mail them to tax-paying town residents, but not to renters. And she's a renter, so she was just wondering why she got one. So if you could have that for the next meeting, that would be fine.
Yeah.
That's what she's asked for, and we'd like to respond.
I can do
to
that.
her inquiry. Okay, great. Thanks, Larry.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Mike. God. Very good. That's it. Excuse me. That's it, Chris. Have a nice holiday. Happy Easter.
I think he left her.
Our next report will be from our road commissioner, Walt Tripp, and our town water and sewer commissioner, Jason Bathalon. Good evening, man. Good evening. You doing?
You already have a sunburn.
We've been out doing our lawn cleanups from plow damage. Finished that up today. Tomorrow we've got 3 mailboxes to replace, which is minor.
Typical.
Yeah. Hasn't been too bad. Paving bids are due in on Friday, so they'll have them for the next meeting. See what's what. And we had 3 signs stolen up on Quarterline Road, stop sign and 2 speed limit signs.
Really?
Which has been pretty good for quite a few years. But signs, I had to order some new stop signs and they're printing $100 a piece now. So
You'll find them in some teenager's bedroom.
I guess it's going around. They stole some in West Rutland and Chittenden.
They take them off the poles?
Take them off the pole. Yeah.
Do we have those removable screw, or
We
you
used to-
just peen them?
We used to pin them over, but then they take the post and everything, so it's double the cost.
Oh,
So, I mean, it's a no-win situation.
Fair.
We got Mike's equipment service for him. And as of this weekend, I won't be around weekends all summer. So I don't know what you want to do for emergencies or.
well, let me check and see if I got my boots on.
Where are you going?
I have a camp in New York,
Oh, good for you. On Champlain?
you know, up in the Adirondacks.
Oh, good for you.
But we,
You got an
go over
extra
to Pinner-
bedroom up there?
What's that?
Things are getting pretty tough here. You got an extra bedroom up there?
I just sold my camp on Champlain, yeah.
I just thought I'd let you know, I'm not, as far as emergencies or whatever, so.
Have we have we received any, no. I didn't even get the word application out of my mouth here.
Who's the road committee?
Yeah,
You got your,
Joey, I think it's-
oh, Joey is. I
Joe.
was gonna say,
Joey.
Kurt, you better get your boots on.
Yeah.
yeah. Come on, you people with all these highway experience.
It's been a long winter, so, that's what we do in the summer anyway, so.
Right,
Right.
right.
And right now I'm planning to take the first week of May off,
Vacation time.
the vacation, yeah. Yeah, I've got pretty much 3 weeks to use before July 1st, so.
Get that so noted. Put that on your schedule, Bill. Walt will be gone first week of May,
And on the weekends.
weekends. The,
Jason, where are you at with the weekends?
We go camping.
Well, is that you, Sharon and Mary?
Who's saying that?
I think that was Rob Stubbins.
Who was it?
No. No.
Who asked what about me?
who's trying to put Sharon into chucka boots here?
Listen, it wouldn't be the first time.
No, it wouldn't. I just wanted to let you know that we're between Bill and I, we're trying to deal with the consolidated complaints, and we're going to go through consolidated first, and you'll be the residual.
Did we talk to Mr. Yankowski
Yes, I did.
last week?
I went up and looked at his.
And it's unacceptable.
No, it is definitely unacceptable. And the thing is, I told Peter that the one way or another, I mean, it's either Consolidated's problem or it's the town's problem, but it's definitely not Peter Yankowski's problem.
Right.
It's got to be made right.
Well, I don't think anybody from the town gave him the okay to.
Well,
go
I
over
was
their
going to ask
property.
that, and Bill, maybe, we'll wait till you get to your report and we'll deal with that. But we're going to handle it first with Consolidated, and if we can get a positive response, then we'll be fine. If we can't, then it's probably, I don't know, it's a couple hours work, a couple, maybe three, just to
it's-
scratch it, seed it.
There's
mulch
more
it.
than just that.
Well, no,
Billy's got a list of.
he's got
other-
2 or 3 or 4 more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's some of it's,
Oh, no.
they
kidding.
have dug in the ditches and now the ditches are eroding, that are,
Well, yeah,
That sounds like
So
it's
it's,
Consolidated's issue.
yeah. Well, we'll get to the bottom of it.
they trimmed trees. There's 3 piles of brush, treetops they left laying along the road in places, and
This isn't the first problems they've had.
right.
I've checked with the city, and anyways, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yep.
And I'll let you know.
Yep. Okay, that's all I have.
Good. Jason, you,
I did my water meters on the 1st, which was 2 weeks ago, Friday. I've been
went fine. That one resident that I was having an issue trying to get a reading from because of the Xfinity box that was covering the reader, they were able to get that moved, so I was able to read their meter. So everything went well.
Good. Very good. We'll keep chugging along. The bonuses were approved. Should have your checks this week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, your diligence is much appreciated. And I've heard that from various and sundry sections of town that are very happy with the winter maintenance. So
Thank you.
take that as a compliment. Good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Next report will be from Mike Rowe, our Recreation Commissioner, Recreation Director. Evening, Mike.
Evening, how are you all? Couple things. Baseball is signups are still ongoing for kindergarten through second grade. By the time you see this, third grade through sixth grade have that has ended. We ordered uniforms and the schedule will be out for our major and minors, which is third grades up to sixth grade. That season kicks off the first week of May, which is coming up very soon. Started to do some maintenance up at Northwood, just getting the fields ready. I'll probably be mowing in 2 weeks, I would imagine will be the first time we will let the blades turn and cut some grass or dirt as it may be, whatever's up there.
Sooner.
Yeah, we'll go up 2 weeks is what I'm on. Okay. Well, once I'm on, it doesn't stop till November. So let's just as anyone knows, which is fine. I don't mind it whatsoever. Couple updates. The Act 250 next meeting, we hope to have that information for you to sign and get the process going for the mountain biking trails. Both of our volunteers that are spending a tremendous amount of time, Andy and Mary Beth, have been on different vacation schedules. So lots of props and respect to them for the work that they have put in to make this process go a lot smoother. So they're getting that finalized. And so you'll have it in front of you to sign, and then we'll send it off, and then the state will do what the state does, and we'll see what happens when they come back with the info, and then we're ready to go. The other improvements that we're working on, they're fencing in as we speak. It might even be done as we speak. The basketball court up at Northwood, where we're putting in the pickleball courts. So that whole area is fenced in. It's for a couple of good reasons. One, traffic can't go on it. They don't need to be on there, which will prevent vandalism, hopefully. And then for the addition of the pickleball courts, the ball will stay in and they're not running all over the place for it into the parking lot or what have you for all that. So we're just waiting for the line striping company to come in and do their lines. I've already purchased all the nets. Like I was telling you before, the nets for the tennis courts will replace next week. I'll take care of those. Those have been ordered and they're sitting in my house. And the pickleball nets have been ordered, and we'll put those up as soon as that gets signed. So that part of the project that we had budgeted for will be taken care of shortly. And thank you very much for that. I think the town will really enjoy the availability of trying multiple different activities up there now at the park. Other than that, pool signups are the first week of June, which is right around the corner. The cover will be coming off next week. I will pull the pool cover off and start the process of emptying and cleaning. So that's a good sign because we kick it on the Friday of Memorial Day is when we turn the pool on for the season. So we're in good shape all around. Lots of spring cleanup, and once the wood chipper is back in line, then we can really get some of the big stuff that's blown down within. It seems like the pool got hit pretty good, the pool area, with a lot of big pieces of pine and so anyway, we'll take care of that as soon as it goes. And many thanks to the boys. They always get the tractors up and running for their yearly maintenance. So thank you to Walt and Jason for taking the time and saving the town considerable money in doing so. And so, like I said, we're moving along. People have questions, they can give me a shout. And we'll go from there. I don't think I really have anything else, Mary, unless you can, I'm Sharon, unless you can think of something I might have forgotten. Sorry about that.
No.
I saw Mary's name and that's yours.
Are you helping Sharon when you get done with your highway duties? Are you going to be helping with the pool cleanup too?
He's highway.
Huh?
He's highway.
No, but you,
No, Joey.
they were trying to put
I'll
you in
help.
for
I-
commissioner.
Hey, listen, I
like
have
it.
no problem getting on that lawnmower and running it.
No, that's right. You went on that long
Yes,
where you
I
fell
did.
in love with it.
Yes, indeed.
You popped a wheelie on it, but you fell in love with it. Thought you were gonna go flip right over 360 in the zero turn. Oh,
Well, you know, my feet
bad
don't
idea,
reach
you
the
know.
pedals as well.
I
as
know
your
we can
feet
put
do.
blocks there. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. We can block it.
Size 3, well, 2.5 shoe to a Gunga Din.
But there's no, but just remember, there's no pedals. It's all with your
It's all
hands.
with the hands. I know you kept
There are no
telling me
pedals on
that.
zero.
Sharon, it's in the hands. It's in the hands. Yes, sir.
Yep. We had it on baby speed. Other than that, does anybody have anything, any questions, concerns?
Joe, Mary? Any questions? Sharon?
Oh, the water will be turned on shortly. Oh, that's one other thing. The plumber told me that Dewey, he's going to turn the water on, but he in the fall when he went to shut it off, the pipes within the bowels of Dewey basically snapped. And this is no news to anyone that knows how old Dewey is.
Yep.
So when I called him this week, he's like, "Yep, I know. I got, I'm going to fix it. It's going to, when you see a little bit heavier price, it's because I got to replace all that." So it doesn't sound like digging and trenching. It just sounds like him getting in and replacing. So I'm not worried about it at all. There's plenty of money to figure
Who's
that.
their
But
plumber?
that's, we use Jim Manley. Jim Manley. He worked with, oh my God, Timmy. Yeah, Turner.
Oh, okay.
Timmy. He
Yeah.
worked with Timmy for a long time, and then Timmy passed. And Jimmy had done. I've been working with Jimmy at that pool for this is going to be 18 years. So
Okay. Yeah.
he's our plumber that takes care of our stuff.
So that's the shut off.
Yeah, something down in it when he was winterizing it. It went, and he wasn't expecting it. And when he
Well, the
pulled it out,
pipes
it
at
was all
Dewey,
rotted.
the
So-
pipes at Dewey have been,
He can fix it. It's not, like I said, it's not like we have to dig anything up, but it's gonna take him some time and I'm sure it's not the easiest to get in there. Yeah, Dewey is great. Everything is fine over there, but just to
Good.
keep you abreast.
Yep.
Okay,
Super.
all right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike.
Yep.
thanks,
thank you.
Mike.
And happy Easter.
Yes, happy Easter.
Our next report will be a combination report. You can do constable, or you can do health officer, or you can do public safety building. John Paul Faignant.
Or do all 3.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for that. So as far as health officer, we're having a comprehensive re-inspection of the Cortina Inn on Wednesday between 11 and 1. I have a prior commitment that is going to keep me busy till 12. So Frank Chaffee's going to attend. The assistant health officer is going to attend together with the state people. And then I will join them when I get free at noontime. And I'll report to you on those developments at our next meeting. You have in front of you, as far as the new station, you have a contract for the civil engineers, and that's necessary so we can get to work on the site. That's a reputable Rutland firm that's worked with our architects many times, and they coordinate activities really well.
Which one is it, John?
And also on the building, the good news was that there is no asbestos. The preliminary investigation shows 0. That's especially important with regard to the cinder block, because Joe Donardo had come up with the idea that we can use those cinder blocks because they are clean fill. We might be able to use them to expand the rear portion of the lot during construction. That would take a special permit, but the engineers are aware that of that permit requirement, and they can help us with that.
Okay. We have that under new business, JP, that contract to sign. C in your packet, I believe. Enman Engineering.
Right. Okay. If you want to take it up, then that's fine. I would just leave you with I've reviewed it and it looks like it's in order, so I would recommend it be signed.
Why don't we do it now?
I got it. Yeah, we'll do it right now.
Okay.
The, this is a contract, from Enman Kesselring Engineering. Work authorization to perform the following services related to development of a public safety building on the 1.17 acre property at 272 McKinley Avenue, Rutland, Vermont. Development will be served by municipal wastewater and an on-site supply well. And the contract is there. If you've had a chance to read it, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to sign the
There's
document.
one client signature, so you have to authorize me to sign that on behalf.
I move that we sign the document, asking Don Chaffee as chair to sign it.
Motion's been made that we sign the contract for Enman Kesselring Engineering on McKinley Station, and that the chair be authorized to sign on behalf of the town. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it. And I also have a question.
Joe Donato seconds the motion, and now we're in discussion, and Joe has a question.
Okay, so, and don't anybody take this the wrong way, but because of our purchasing policy and the way we operate that for goods and services over $5,000, we are supposed to put this stuff out to bid. And I just want to know if we are circumventing that, or if we are not following it, are we going to create any hate and discontent? I have no problem with this engineering firm, and I have no other problems other than normally, you know, this doesn't have a dollar figure at the end, so I don't know how much it's going to be, but are we going to get into any kind of a hoo-ha if we do approve this? That's my only question. Usually for these kinds of things, we do ask for multiple proposals and then pick one, and I don't, you know, based on that. And I just don't want anybody to think that the select board would be circumventing our process just to push this building along or do anything. I want to make sure we do everything on the up and up, and I don't want to create any hate and discontent or give anybody any issues with what we're doing. So that's my concern. I read it over, and I think it's all good, but I just wanted the rest of the board to kind of weigh in on this, and we got to make a decision as to how we go forward.
What we've done in the past, Joe, is we've just designated the people preferred vendors. I'm not a fan of going with the lowest bidder. That's what left us with various problems in Center Rutland. My effort here was to go to the people who've had public safety experience, extensive public safety building experience, and hire them. And if that in some way interferes with our bidding process, then we can simply designate them as preferred vendors.
Other board members like to?
Well, let's do them as
Sharon?
preferred vendors if we're going to.
I think we should get some sort of price from Edmonds. You know, something we can hold them to instead of giving them carte blanche, you know, to charge us T&M for however much they want to charge us for. You know, we need a set price from them for sure.
JP, did you get a rough estimate or any indication whatsoever from Edmund as to what this might be?
That's what they'll prepare once we sign this document. There's a lot of work that goes into it. They're going to do a preliminary, and then they're going to do a final. The final obviously comes after they've had input with the other trades and the architect. So this is the go ahead for them to do the work to give us the initial proposal and price.
Right.
Okay, that
It's gonna
makes,
be very, it's gonna
Mr.
be very
Chairman?
difficult for them. Mary, did your hand up?
Yeah, see that little thing? Yeah, it's up. I have the same concern as Joey does. And even if we made Edmund Kesselring a preferred vendor, which I have no problem doing, I've hired them for work down here on the farm and they're very good. I would point out we have 2 other civil engineers as preferred vendors already on our list. And that's Stantec, who's done a lot of work in town up around the transfer station, and Otter Creek Engineering, who is doing the shared use path engineering. They're also working on the other matters around town. So at the very least, if we do put Edmund Kesselring in, we should check with the other 2 firms, engineering firms, which we also approve of, and ask if they have the bandwidth to take this on and what their rates would be. It's not that we're playing favorites or not, it's trying to get the best price for the town.
JP, you've been the lead person in this. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I think we should go with the people we know are winners in these type of projects.
What's the board's pleasure? I have a motion and a second to sign this document.
We definitely have engineering firms on our preferred vendor list already that are winners. They are more than capable of something like this. So I think we need to see some pricing for sure. We need to see what this is going to cost us, even if it's a not to exceed number, from all of these 3 firms. If they would, if Otter Creek or Stantec would be capable or want to take that on, I think we need to at least offer it to them since we've already designated them as preferred.
Don,
And again, I
don't-
don't have anything against Edmonds at all. We've used them, done work with them before. in the past.
Joe?
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to be able to get a total number, to Kurt's point. I don't think you're going to be able to get a cost for the entire project or the entire work they need to do, because sometimes one thing will lead to another and it'll generate costs. The only thing that we could get from the other 2 firms would be comparable hourly rates for the list of stuff that's on page 3 of this. And it just might be in our best interest to reach out to these other 2 companies. And I don't think the architect firm we hired would have difficulties working with someone else. I know they probably endorse these folks because they've worked with them before, and that's okay too. But I just don't want us to set a precedent that we've go circumvent our own policies, because that will come back to bite us. And if we reached out to either Otter Creek and Stantec and see if they could come back with some kind of a list of prices in the next 2 weeks. I know we want to move forward and we want to keep going with this, but we have to kind of follow our own procedures. Otherwise, they have no value to us. So, that would, I know we have this motion on the floor. Maybe we could just see if we can get some comparative hourly rates and figures and then go from there, and we could pick who we choose, but at least go by our own policies. I know it'll hold us up a couple of weeks, but I don't think it's the end of the world. And it gives the board much better credibility as to what we're doing. If you have multiple people that are preferred vendors on a schedule as we do, then I think it's in our best interest to ask them. Technically we're not putting this out to bid. We're just asking for comparative prices on probably pretty expensive endeavor here. That absolutely has to be done. I mean, they do the soil testing, and they're going to do all of the things that need to be done, and it needs to be done right. And the board has to do its job right also.
Comments from the board?
Well, let's hold off on that, and I think
If the board's desire is to hold off and to follow the recommendation that Joe has made and get this information sent to the other two engineers that we have on our list, then it would be appropriate if the maker of the motion withdrew the motion, and
I just did.
the maker of the motion has withdrawn the motion. There's a second, withdraw the second.
I do.
That's you, Joey.
Yeah, I said I do. I'm not asking you to marry me, Sharon. I do.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No,
Joey,
this is.
I'm already married happily.
This is,
Okay.
listen, this is appropriate discussion. This is what we're here for.
Yep.
We're here to be fiscally responsible to the people of the town, and that's what we're doing. I see no problem in getting the prices from the same schedule that Enman Kesserling has given us for rates. Should be either matched or superseded or reseeded by the other two, and then we can go. But I do agree with Joe that it's a fool's errand to try to hold any engineering firm that's been contracted to do what's in this contract to a fixed price, because it's a variable. It's just, you can't put your finger on the price. You really can't, on the total price. It's the services and whether or not these rates are appropriate to charge for that. And you're not going to know what it is until it's finished. And, that's a ways away, because there's a final design, and that's way at the end of the process. So in any case, if the board's comfortable with that, we really don't need a motion. We'll just, Bill, if you'll send those out to the other two firms, a request for rates.
If they even want to.
If you could send a cover letter that asks them if they'd be interested in submitting a list of rates for performing this work, and give them a deadline so that we can deal with this within a 2-week period.
The other thing, Don, that we want to ask them is if they're available to do it on our time frame, because if they're booked up for time, they may not be able to, and so it may be a moot point, but we should give them the opportunity and then find out if they can do it on NBS time frame and our time frame.
Yes, you're right, Joe. Got that, Bill? Okay. Any other discussion on that? Then that's the way we'll proceed. So that's number C. Just leave that right there for the time being. Okay. Was that it, JP, for this evening?
That's all I have. The only thing I'd ask of the board is if they have concerns like this, they don't wait until the meeting. I've been copying the board from day one, at least 3 weeks back in my conversations with this firm. I understand that the board wants more information, but if we're going to keep the pace we need to keep to get this building built as cheap as we can build it, the board needs to pay attention to the information I'm sending them and call me if there's an issue. Thank you. That's all I have.
I think that's an appropriate suggestion, and I would ask the board members to do that.
So a question, we don't go through the Public Safety Committee, we go to JP with concerns?
You would go to the Public Safety Committee if it was some general item, but on items that JP is recommending to us, I would think you would go directly to him to get clarification. I mean, we've appointed him as clerk of the work, so obviously that's the person that we deal with. I mean, if we're going to go through
I understand that, but I think that in order to keep a little bit of organization, I mean, something like this, I mean, I've understood this and I have actually talked to JP about it. The part about the bidding process and our purchasing policy, I forgot, like that, but I don't think that one individual board member, we can't make decisions. So this would have to come before all of us as a group anyway to make these decisions. Otherwise, we're going to, get into some chaos here a little bit. We have to keep some organization and try to keep the process moving at the pace that we'll get it built on time without circumventing our own policies and our own procedures. So these are group decisions. This is not a one-person decision or whatever. And we have to also be careful of conducting any business via emails or whatever that might violate any open meeting laws or whatever. I mean, these are some things, questions about particulars, yes, but no decision making. We know we can't do that. So some things are just going to have to come before the boards, and we'll try to minimize the inconvenience and any delays in the project. But we just want to keep everything above board so we don't get any negative feedback on this building.
And I have a question.
Go ahead, Mary.
No, I thought Joey stated it well. I do have a question for JP. I've seen 3 different dates, not all from him, but on when we would actually be going out to bid on this. And I think he sent us an email a couple, 3 weeks ago that said sometime in January 2023, we'd be going out to bid. I saw something that indicated maybe we would be going out to bid in December of this year. And then I think in a conversation with a select board member, the suggestion was made going out to bid October or November. Do we know why there's such a spread, and what's, obviously the sooner the better, but what is the realistic going out to bid date?
So
Well, I guess
based on what his prior experience is, the one piece of this project that takes the most time is to have people sit down and actually draw out on the schematic what equipment's going to be where, what desks are. You have to get the dimensions of the desk. You have to spec them out. And right now, and Ed told me if I had that by, I forget, he had some date way out in the future that we could go for January, get this together for January, but I think we can shorten that time period up. And I really want to try, because if we can get this out to bid in October or November, we'll be first for the contractors bidding for the construction season the next year, as opposed to wait until January when a lot of jobs have already been let out for that year. So that's the effort, Mary. And that's why Ed said January, figuring that it was going to take us a long time, but the 5 chiefs are working on doing those drawings and speccing out that equipment and furnishings as we speak. And we hope to have a meeting in another week or so to finalize everything and give it to Ed now rather than 30 to 45 days from now. So if all of that fits for us, Mary, and Ed can then get in touch with some of the engineers he has to hire and supervise, we could possibly be able to pull this together a lot sooner than January. At least that's the effort that we're engaged in.
Okay, that was helpful. Thank you, JP.
Yep.
The last thing I want to remind everybody with this project is this building is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And if we move too quick and don't do our due diligence, we're going to end up with a mess on our hands like we did the last time we tried to build a station. So we need to slow up a little bit, make sure we're doing everything appropriate and proper. And we also need to keep everybody in the loop. And I would like to have a meeting with us 5 board members and Ed Clark and JP and the 2 chiefs to see where we're at with this project, where we're heading, timeframes and all that at some point in time here within the next few weeks. For sure.
Good suggestion. We can do that. And we will do that. I think the very first thing we got to do though is get this engineering study authorized by someone and get it
For sure.
started. So, and then we'll go forward, but that's a good suggestion, Kurt. Is there any further discussion on this particular item? Hearing none, then we'll proceed. JP, do you have anything else? Is that it?
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate your diligence on this, and I know, well, I guess a 2-week delay won't kill the project, but we'll proceed. Next, Bill Sweet, our town administrative assistant.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bill.
All right, so a few things not related to new business on here. We in Don, in your folder there, we have a few additional items to go over. So letter E is the letter that we talked about in regard to the request for the maintenance agreement to be withdrawn for the ground round property.
Yes.
Do you want to go over that, or do you want me to? Or
Yeah, no,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I received an email from the attorney for the Menaries, and they're working on selling the ground round property on Route 7 South. And they asked for the maintenance agreement to be withdrawn, and I talked to Don about it briefly, and we decided to write a response letter. Kevin Brown was part of writing that maintenance agreement to begin with. So I drafted the letter, called Kevin. He got the letter. He approved the letter. So that is what Kevin felt was an appropriate response to their request.
Have all of you had a chance to read the letter? It's in your packet.
Yes, I move we approve the letter.
Motion's been made to approve the letter sent to Attorney Chris, to be sent to Attorney Chris Blanchard.
I'll second.
And the motion's been seconded. Is there any discussion?
I think it's a good idea that we follow up on this thing. This has been something the Water Sewer Committee had been after the Menaries to, document and get this thing cleaned up, because this is our one chance to get their attention. So I'm glad it's come forward now.
I agree. Any further discussion? You ready for the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? None opposed? I'll circulate it now for signature.
Okay.
If there's room for 5 signatures on here.
There are, yes.
So, and that's what we'll do.
Yep. So while you're doing that, the next is letter F. That is the letter that Ted and I came up with to send with our letter of intent for the grant program to Congressman Peter Welch's office. So Ted and I drafted a letter, and that's the copy.
You have the letter. Just, I would just like to add that in relationship to this letter to Congressman Peter Welch, there is a proposal, and there should be a proposal from our emergency management director to designate some portion. We're not indicating how big a portion or what portion of the new public safety building as a primary emergency management director location. Am I correct, Marty? That would be the title of it. And we are authorized,
No,
obviously,
he's
we're
shaking his head
yeah,
no.
we're authorized to have a secondary location as well, and which we would have. And the reason for this is very, very simple. Under this funding proposal and this request we're making to the Congressman Welch's office, we could conceivably receive enough funding to pay for this entire building through the congressional office of Peter Welch. And Marty Wasserman, our emergency management director, is here and would speak to this if he would. Go ahead.
But I don't know all the details of this. I'm not going to pretend to. But what I gathered from looking at that, it was emphasized that that building be our primary emergency operations center. And it doesn't say what goes where. And that doesn't mean that the police department's out and the fire department's out in time of emergency. They can be in there. But I think I need to look at some more, talk to those who have been involved and find out just how much of this needs to. Right now, for this current year, we've designated Rutland Town Hall as our primary emergency operations center, and the Center Rutland Station is our secondary. When it comes to fruition and we build this building, the building can be considered the primary emergency operations center, and Town Hall can be the secondary emergency operations center.
Yes.
So I think, and I'm not sure of this part, but I'm thinking that in the description of the building, when we're laying out what officers or what, these officers may have dual role positions depending on normal operations and what would it be used for in time of when we have to open an emergency operations center and go to the state emergency management and declare we're opening an emergency operations center.
Right.
So
I don't think this is going to be a difficult thing to do, really. You know, it's a designation.
So what I would think, just for, I don't know if it's necessary, I'm thinking that in the planning of this building, because of what we want to do with it and how we want to get it funded, you mentioned with meeting with the fire chief, the police chief, I guess it was the architect.
Yep, and Selectboard.
That emergency management should be included in that. If nothing more than for the visual.
Was your suggestion? You don't have any objection to that?
Oh, I don't have any objection.
There you go. Consider yourself in.
So for
This way of looking back at this thing, they can say that emergency management's been involved with the whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's key. And when you're looking for the kind of funds that we're looking for and the kind of support from our congressional delegation that we're asking for, and I intend to follow up personally on this letter as well, I think that's appropriate, and it's a good suggestion. But I just wanted to let the board know that this is possible, and that it really would be it would be a wonderful thing for Congressman Welch to be able to help us with. it certainly is a community resource that he would support. And I know he does. So in any case, we have a motion and a
Well,
second and
Can I ask a
further discussion.
question, please? Has
Mhm.
anyone talked with the architect to see whether we can fit all of this into the building?
Yep, no, we will. We have a lot of time to plan it. We're talking conceptual now and really what we're doing is we're talking conceptual and policy decisions now. And the practicality will come with the design and so forth. And that's what we have ahead of us. So
For the sakes of this letter, would it be better to say and future emergency operations center? Since it's,
Well, I don't know.
well, no, this is indicating what it will be. It says,
Yeah.
has been created with input from the town select board, fire chief, police chief, town taxpayers,
And EMD in there.
and the emergency management director. Then that would be the thing to add if we're gonna add anything to it.
if we're gonna add, yeah.
Part you were talking about whether it be used for fire, police, and emergency management. That's gotta be put in there because they.
Yeah, if you're gonna tie it,
emphasizing-
if
In
you're
order
gonna
to
tie
get
it all
that grant,
together,
it has to be in there.
if you're gonna tie it all together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
How much of a how much time, Bill?
Don't leave right after the meeting.
Okay. So with the addition of, let's see.
So where do you, just make a note on there what you'd like to add and where you want to add it.
That's been created in the way. Police chief.
Be there this Friday.
This one, I think we have a little bit extra time. I don't have those minutes right in front of me. I think it's May, but it's not long. Yeah, we sooner rather than later.
Slide that
I
over.
thought it was April 15th.
It's very short.
Yeah,
I thought it
it's
was
not-
April
not long.
15th, Bill.
There's a couple there's a couple different ones that we're working with. So that's why I said don't whoever's here tonight needs to stay so he can sign it before they leave. So yeah, it's soon. It might, and I think that one may be this week. So yeah, we'll get it changed tonight. And Joe, if you and Mary can stop in tomorrow, maybe we can get it signed and I'll give it to Ted and we'll get it going.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, so.
So do we have a motion in a second
change-
and all that? Don,
Pardon me, Joe?
did we make a motion to approve this letter with the corrections and a second on it? Or with the changes?
We haven't approved that yet. I was just going to say that we have a motion and a second to approve the letter. If the
I
friendly
would-
amendment would be accepted that we add the emergency management director right after fire chief, then we can vote on the motion.
Yeah, I have one other proposed change. When we went to the voters, we said nothing about an emergency operations center. Now, that doesn't mean we can't support it as a board, but I think we should just say the public voted in favor of funding for the public safety building. And then we can add in later in the third paragraph, the emergency operations center. But I think it would be
Not a-
misleading because we did not say operations center when we went to the voters.
I think we're making a
Memorial.
semantic difference that doesn't exist here.
I'm trying to be
Because
accurate,
we're just-
Don, about what the
No,
voters.
we're just
approved.
designating it as an emergency management center. We didn't say that we're going to build an emergency management center.
And it's
We've
called a safety
designated the
building,
town
so-
hall as an emergency management primary, and we designated the fire station, which the voters approved as a fire station down there, as a secondary. It's just a designation. It operates as an emergency management center,
If you look at
mainly
the
because it's got
last
the police
sentence in the
mainly
third
because it's got
paragraph.
the police department in it. I'm sorry, Mary, but I'm speaking right now. Thank you very much. It's got a police department in it. It's got a fire department in it, and both of them are emergency management operations in the town of Rutland. It would be foolish for us to think that it wouldn't be part of an emergency management operation, because they're the emergency management people that we have in the town.
And it's a public safety meeting.
If you look at, may I speak now? If you look at the
Yes.
third paragraph, the last sentence, all I'm saying is the very last line, the Public Safety Building and Emergency Operations Center was approved by town voters. I suggest we just take out "and Emergency Operations Center," because what the voters approved was the Public Safety Building. And if you don't agree with me, don't agree with me.
Mary might have a point on that one, because
I disagree.
I don't think she has a
I don't
point, but
think
that's
so
beside the point. You know,
I
that's
think we're
fine.
nitpicking,
just for
We're
that
here-
one line, because it did not say on the ballot that it was an emergency.
but it's a
operations
public
center.
safety meeting. Isn't that part of safety? I mean, come on.
Could be, but for that particular line, we can keep it in the other lines, but for that particular line, maybe we should just remove it because it was not on the ballot as an emergency operations center.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I don't know. I just, we're into board discussion now, so we need to, I mean, look, there's no problem having a disagreement on the board. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to have an open discussion. I don't mind that.
Nope.
We'll have an open discussion. We'll take a vote and we'll find out whether it passes or not. That's, there's nothing wrong with democracy in this room. So is there any more board discussion on Mary's suggestion or any other item? Because we have a motion on the table right now that we need to vote on.
Well, my only thing is this, John, is that we voted for a public safety building. And if that is not part of public safety, I guess I need to go back to school.
Well,
It
I
is,
agree.
it is, folks, but if you want to be accurate, what the voters voted on, and I know we can designate this at a later date, but if you want to be accurate, on March 1st, they were asked to approve a public safety building and all the necessary funding. Some people, this could raise a question because we did not specifically say that. What we do down the road as to designate that would be fine. But if we take those 4 little words out of there, it's not going to change this letter and it's not going to change anything, but we will be accurate. And I don't have a problem with those couple of changes. Adding the emergency management director was consulted with the building. And if we just take those 4 little words out, we'll have a very clear thing that, because I'm telling you, there are people in town, and we heard it earlier in this meeting, that are nitpicking this whole process. And so let's just be accurate. It's not going to change anything. And we need to have as little negative discussion about this building as possible. It's a great idea. It's a great asset. And if taking 4 words out and adding 2 in, we're going to make it more accurate, then I'm all in favor of it. But, I'm okay with that. And we just need to do that stuff.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this particular issue of removing those words in the final paragraph?
Is everybody okay with that?
Was there a motion? No, wait a minute. Is there a motion to do that? Is there an amendment to do that?
I
That's
will
what-
so move. For clarity's sake, I will so move.
And I'll
Mary
second.
has moved that motion has been made and seconded that we remove that from the section that says voted by the voters. Is there any further discussion on that amendment? Okay, we will now vote on the amendment to remove that and add emergency management director in the upper paragraph as we had decided. Are you ready for that vote? All those in favor of those 2 amendments signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
The vote is 3 to and 1 abstention. The motion carries. We will remove that from the end. Did you get that, Bill?
Got it.
and add the emergency management director. So you see the nitpickers are represented by this board as well as everybody else in town. Thank you very much.
You know, John, I think that's unfair. We were trying
Oh,
to.
no,
clarify
I'm just
a
trying
letter
to be
and make it stronger.
trying-
I would move
I'm-
that we now approve the letter as amended.
Second.
No, that motion is already made, but, you know, we had a motion on the table and that was the motion on the amendment. So we have the main motion was to approve the letter. All those in favor of approving the letter now as amended signify by saying aye.
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 Mary?
I voted aye.
Oh.
It's the
Okay.
time delay when you're on Zoom, Don. So you have to wait
4-0.
another second. Yeah.
No, I heard nothing. You weren't loud enough.
I think Joe.
I think Joe talked over the top, maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, plus I have these hearing aids, which I have to apologize for sometimes, but that's all right.
Are they
No.
working?
All right.
No.
So I'll take care of that. And we'll get that will be easy to update. So I'll get that done before you all leave tonight. G is part of the building committee review for the minutes for that. So when you get to the building committee, you can talk about that one.
Okay.
H, the vehicle and traffic ordinance amendment and the child safety ordinance repeal. We have passed the deadlines for any people to file petitions. None were filed, so those will take effect on April 18th officially.
Very good.
So no action needed. They will just happen. Letter I in there is the updated purchasing policy. You voted to add some language to it. So that is the updated policy with the added language ready for you to sign.
You've read it.
I move that
board?
we sign.
Motion's been made, motion's been seconded that we sign it. There's room for 5 signatures. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Obviously not. Motion carries.
All right. While you're signing that one, sending that around, the last thing in the packet is for new business E. So when you get to there, that's the agreement for that one. Couple other things. We received a request for excavation in the town right of way. It's from Casella Construction on behalf of Velco. They're wanting to connect the new substation facility they're building on the end of Post Road to the municipal sewer line. They need to dig across Post Road in order to do that. This was part of the plans from before when they went for their subdivision application. This was discussed and Byron was looped in on it and it was all taken care of. This is their permit to officially request it. They submitted their permit fee. They have a security deposit check here. They said a majority of the work will be done at night, and they will maintain 1 lane of traffic during the day. The sidewalk will be closed for about 1 week, and their project window is May 2nd to May 27th. When the contractor was here, I did stress the importance of that they need to leave a lane. That road has to have a lane open. Like they can't just trench it and like close the road. So
Yeah, you've got the town
yeah, so they
pool
said,
and-
so we do have the ability to add restrictions or conditions to the permit. So what would you like to add as conditions? Or, well, first of all, I guess, do you want to accept it? And then do we want to add any conditions to their permit?
We should probably add a condition that they keep one lane and travel at all
They
times.
have to.
Yeah.
You got kids at the pool.
Walt and I were
safety.
discussing that they should be responsible for traffic control
Yeah.
and maintaining 1 lane of traffic at all times.
And that's not in there.
No, the conditions are up to us. There's no guidelines for conditions. It's in the past, this would go to Byron. Like this would have gone to Byron and he would taken care of it. but Walt and I talked about it and said this probably should come to the board just because it's a fairly substantial
Yeah, we
intrusive
have
project.
school
So,
buses. When does the
I-
school,
I think those two conditions would take care of it myself.
so he did say most of the in-road work they will get done overnight. That's their plan. But there may be an open side of the road, one side or the other during the construction, and they'll keep one lane alternate. They'll have to be there to do traffic control. So, yeah. So that was our thought, was that they'd be responsible for traffic control, traffic management, and that they maintain one lane of travel.
do we know when the school closes for the year?
June. Oh, after this, yeah. This is going to happen during school. Yeah, there's no way around that. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take them that long to dig a sewer line in.
I don't think so either. So they said Casella is contracted by Velco for upgrades, installing a new sewer pipe across Post Road and a manhole on the north side. That's probably was taking longer. Casella will excavate a trench, suitable backfill, and repave the affected area. So that's normal.
So what would you say, Kurt, for time in doing something like that?
They shouldn't have the road open for more than a day, especially if they're going to work at night.
Right.
I assume they might have a little piece of the shoulder blocked off or something if they have to put a structure on the north side. But
So they did say the sidewalk will be closed for a week. Yeah. So that's probably for the manhole work.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too
Well,
big a deal.
that's not a big issue.
No.
The only other thing, Bill, something we might add to that is that they have all necessary, barricades and signage in place so that, if they do happen to leave that trench open, somebody doesn't drive into it. Not that they would, but I think you need to specify that, all necessary signage and barricades, safety stuff be in place.
You let me know what you want to put down. We'll put it down.
That's my suggestion, along with the traffic control and the rest of the stuff that they, most construction companies do it, but in Casella's is a top-notch operation. You just might need to remind them of a few things.
And how about letters sent out to that, like the people on Blue Ridge? I mean, just so that they're aware.
This is going to be
letters
well below
are
Blue Ridge.
posted on the website.
Yeah, we can do what we can to post notices. But this is going to be down even between the Green Mountain Power entrance and Route 7. It's going to be.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is so that people that live in Blue Ridge know that during that time, they might be better suited to head over to Route 4 than to get tied up in that traffic.
Do we want to,
I think it's fair to let them at least be aware.
Don't we sometimes post signs warning of road construction ahead, and whatever date? Why don't we just have them put a couple of those up at Casella's expense?
maybe ask them to kindly put up some message boards along Post Road, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
If they have those.
That would be a good idea.
Like night work or something like that.
Yeah, one message board or something would be fine. Like
Would that?
That would be
That would work.
better.
Don't you live up in that area? What would you feel? Would you feel if there was at least signboards there?
Be nice to have some heads up.
Right, exactly.
They put one message board up, people coming and going will grab it at, day or night.
Yeah. I can relay that to them. Yeah.
Keep the
So
expense down for
we
them.
got those three suggestions.
Okay.
Are we comfortable with that? Approving the permit with those three?
Yeah, they are good people. I mean, they do good work.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion on this, Bill, really? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's one of the input's fine, and we'll get it. We'll sign it and get it back to them. That's no problem.
There about having laggers.
Yeah, traffic control. Yeah, traffic. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Okay, we will take care of that. And paving bids. So paving bids are due, like Walt was saying, they're due at 11 o'clock Friday morning. As tradition, we will open the bids. We open them and read them, and then that's it. That's all that happens. And then whoever bids, it's yours. They go. So what we would like to do, Joe, if you're available Monday or Tuesday next week, we'd like to set a highway committee meeting. So that way we can review the bids and go over them, because there are several intricacies in these that we need to make sure we get we get right. So, you available Monday or Tuesday morning for a highway committee meeting?
It would only be virtually. I would like to be there in person, but I will be gone the 14th to the 20th. So it would, you know, and like I said, I'd like to see them. So no, I'm not available those 2 days.
Okay. So we can postpone it, but we won't have them for the next board meeting then, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably do, if all goes well, I could do it Thursday morning, the 21st.
So what I could do is take like their pricing, because you know you have a copy of the bid specifications, or if you don't, I can get them to you, and then we can give you like the list of like, here's the price for, you know, X, Y, and Z for each of the bidders for that. Would that work? Would you be comfortable with that, or do you want to wait till you see them in person?
That would probably be okay. I'm just trying to think of how, I don't know what's going to happen, where I'm going to be and how tied up I'll be those days. So
if you want to do that, let's plan for Tuesday. So that way I get a little chance on Monday to put that together. And if it doesn't work out, you don't like it, we can just cancel the meeting. Like we don't, you know, like if I get it to you and you say it's not enough, then we can do that there. And also I can email you the bids. I don't think they're going to be, you know, terribly long.
Well, it's like the last page of that bid is where they put it's like a single page that each one returns with their pricing, if I remember right.
Yep. And we did include that as well. So
yeah, I'd have to do it all you know, either by email or whatever. And I don't know if that's just going to be difficult. And I don't necessarily feel that I have to see them as being on that committee. I mean, I'm okay with Walt going over them and whatever needs to be done. And, you know, it's a comparison thing. They will be in the packet for the 26th meeting. Is that the plan?
that was the plan. Yeah. To have the recommendation for that meeting. Yep.
Joey?
Okay. Yeah.
Joey, if you're going to be on vacation and you're at least comfortable, I mean, Kurt has done road work. I mean, could you have him sit in for you? Would that be?
Yeah, it's just that, you know.
understand maybe- Huh?
That's up to Joe.
No, I'm asking Joey.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like, you know, I have some, you know, I know Kurt can probably do this. I've seen some of the bids stuff. It's just going over the numbers and stuff. And it's just unfortunate timing that it's all together. Maybe we could do this in a way, cause see, I don't know my schedule, so I'm not going to try to make it work. You know, if Kurt wants to sit in with Walt and they can go over them and Jason and you, Billy, and come up with that. I think it's usually pretty straightforward with what's there. And then I'll look at, you know, when the packet comes out, I'll have it. And if there's, you know, I can check in with Kurt when I get back and I'll talk with them about what they decided. That'll probably be the best. That's the best way to do it. And I'm okay with that.
We'll plan for that then.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Kurt.
You have a preference? You have a preference of Monday or Tuesday morning?
Either day is fine.
Okay.
Whatever works.
Figure it out.
Well, I don't want to see him have to juggle his vacation around.
No, we can figure it out. That's not too difficult.
Suggestion.
The last thing I have is the road commissioner application. It's published. We published it in several areas. We've added it to 2 other regional newspapers in different areas to widen our net. But we have not had any results yet. So, and that is everything on my list.
Good. Any questions of any board member for our town administrator?
No, can we take a break?
And hang in there. She'll have that amended thing at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, but yeah, we got still got a little bit of time to go. So, okay, good.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We need a little break, Bill. We have a recess, 5-minute recess.
Recess.
Shut up, Kurt.
We're not playing on the playground, but it's recess time.
Okay, you're back.
Okay. Next, we're going to committee meeting updates, and I believe, Joey, that you covered everything on the police committee report, did you not?
Yes, we're all set there.
Okay.
And there's a couple of things that we have to do on the building technology that Kurt and I sat in and we discussed. One of them is the updated amount for the cleaning services, and we're going to, Kurt and I will recommend that we stick with the company that we have. They've gone up a little bit. They've put in some cost provisions if necessary, and it's good for, I'm trying to see if how long this was good for, but I don't remember.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Okay. So, I don't know if we need to take formal action on that, but they've been doing it, and we're just going to stay with them.
Yep. Is this G in there?
That's G is for these minutes, but it's the next item.
What do you mean?
There was nothing, Bill, for the cleaning services, right?
Nothing
Long
to sign.
meeting.
No, we just say you're good to go, and we're good to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because they've been doing it, and G was, the other part was to do with the lawn mowing services from Brad Keith, and I'd move that we accept his proposal to do the mowing and cleaning up at the places listed, the stations and cemetery and the town office.
No, I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded that we continue with our lawn mowing contractor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion's unanimous.
Don, we just sign one of those lines there. Just
Is that in there, Bill?
yes, it is.
BK?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
And the only other thing that came out of there in section 3 is about some electrical work. And we discussed this at length. One project was about $14,000, and we decided not to recommend doing that. And then there are some lesser projects, and we broke them up between Voidy Electric and Christian Electric. Voidy's, we'd recommend they do 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that Christians do project 6, and Bill would be doing the scheduling. I think Matt gave him a schedule for that. So we'd like to, move forward with that electrical work. So I'd move that we do that as outlined by the committee.
And I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded that we do the electrical work as recommended by the Building and Technology Committee. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And pretty much the rest of it is just informational, and at some point we can discuss some of these other things. We are going to try to find out if we can find if there's any graves next door that are not marked, and Kurt was going to see if he could find us some information on an outfit that has ground penetrating radar. But pretty much that's the end of that project and that report. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Good report. Was that Voidy thing in here, Bill? I didn't see it.
No,
No,
nothing- there's
no,
nothing
there's
to sign.
nothing in there. Okay. Good. I guess the next thing on our list, that takes care of committee reports. We go to new business A, board to vote on the use of ARPA funds as lost revenue. Simply takes a motion from the
So
board
move.
to do that? Motion's been made by
Second.
Sharon to use ARPA funds and declare them as lost revenue under the provisions provided by the ARPA people. That
So
motion's
I
made.
I
have,
second it.
Joey seconded it.
Joey seconded the motion. Now we're in discussion. Go ahead, Mary.
I have a friendly amendment to that. Yes, declare them as lost revenue and designate one half of them to be designated for the new fire station prior to June 30th, 2022, and the second half to be appropriated for the new fire station after January 1st, 2023. And the reason I'm doing that is to split the two payments over 2 calendar years and 2 fiscal years, so we don't trigger that 750 special audit provision.
Just out of curiosity, Mary, wouldn't that be the treasurer's responsibility to do that anyway, without our vote or not?
Well, I asked her for guidance on it, and I'm perfectly, willing to listen to that, but that's my suggestion to avoid any
I don't have
potential
yeah,
difficulty.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with voting on it, but it's one of the provisions that's in the it's one of the provisions that's in the reporting procedures that she has to follow. So I guess we're just covering her butt.
Why don't we table it until we have Kari here? Because is she online?
I don't believe she's still
So
there.
I move to table.
That's how Kari.
No, we gotta vote on
That's how
this.
Kari was going to do it, but if
Yeah,
it's,
that's
if it's
what I
in,
thought.
if it's in the motion, at least it's there and it's written in minutes and
Yeah,
we'll
well,
have it.
like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just assume that she would carry it out the way it's supposed to be because she knows she can't
So
spend
why
more than
can't we
750.
table it until we can get over with it?
Yeah, so we got a friendly amendment.
I'll
Who was the
accept that.
second? You made the motion. Do you accept the amendment?
Well, I don't know if you want to put the amendment on it or not, because how much do you need that first round? I mean, I guess that's my question of the money.
We don't
Well, I
necessarily
think-
need it right now, but we're designating its use in one fiscal and calendar year so that we can designate the other half of the use in a different calendar and fiscal year.
But practically speaking, Mary, okay, based on the timelines that we have that JP gave us, and that was the most optimistic estimate that he could make,
Yeah.
we have town funds that are pretty close to half of the projected cost of the project. And if we spent those first, there would be absolutely no problem at all with ever spending more than half of the ARPA funds on the project.
But you
No.
can't pull it all off at one time.
Yeah, you have to move it from ARPA into our general fund in less than 700 or $750,000. So you
So
don't
the
trigger
best
the
way is
audit.
probably what she's saying.
So if we have it in the motion, at least we know that it's supposed to be moved that way. And
Right, because if we don't pull it
if
at
it,
the right time and we try pulling it all in 1 year,
if you trigger an audit, then you gotta deal with the audit.
that's right. So,
Well, there
It's-
you have it, then.
I
Do you
personally,
accept the friendly amendment?
sure.
That's been accepted by the maker of the motion. Second, Joey, you said you would accept the amendment?
Yes, yep, makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, all those in favor, is there any discussion, any further discussion on the motion?
I personally don't approve of how the government has set this up as just moving
Nobody
it
does.
as
but-
moving it as lost revenue, because we can't show that as lost revenue, but that's what their guidance is. So if that's what their
That's it.
guidance is, then that's what we're gonna roll with,
Basically, they've decided to call it revenue sharing, but not call it revenue
They
sharing.
decided to play
They just gave you the money.
the typical federal government thing of just here you go, do what you want with it, do it this way, and do whatever.
And that's what we're gonna do.
yeah, if that's their guidance, and all right, we're doing it.
Any further discussion on the motion? If none, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
It's a unanimous vote and the motion passes. Go to B. Board to review for approval a local emergency management plan, which I have in front of me. And
Yeah, I'll second.
it's two motions made and seconded to approve the local emergency management plan and to authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the town. And
Yeah.
Kurt Hathaway as well. So. I'm trying to see what it says for the main. Oh, yeah, you're the IC.
Yeah, I'm the ICS
guy.
I guess.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes and we'll sign.
You have two sheets to sign.
Right. And here's, that's Kurt's. This is mine.
Oh, okay. So did you sign on the other one? And he does too.
Right. He just signs on the first one.
He just signs on the
Yep.
first one?
Yep. Item C. Board to review for approval, the work authorization for Edmund Kesselin related to public safety building. We've put that on hold until the next meeting. Item D, board to review municipal impact questionnaire from KAS Engineering regarding the eco car wash. And I think we already signed that under,
Nope. We haven't talked about that yet.
oh, wait a minute.
We haven't talked about that at all yet.
Do I have it in here?
You do have it in there, yes. And I believe
So
someone on
C,
that's related for that, yes. It's D in the packet. Don.
D, yeah, D.
4 pages.
Yeah, I got it.
You have someone on,
Just a one pager, is it?
well, one page, there's the last page. But there's the cover letter, which went a little, but you do have someone on from them to talk to if you need to.
Yes. Who's on?
Her name's Tony.
It's on the ground round one.
I don't see the name here. Whatever.
Tony.
Tony. I'm looking, but I don't see it. Oh, okay. I see you, Tony. Go ahead.
So it's just we're currently going through the Act 250 application process, as there is no zoning regulations for Rutland Town. And one of them is to do a school impact questionnaire and the municipal questionnaire. So if anybody has any questions, we're more than welcome to kind of talk about the project a little bit. This is set for the 559 Route 7 at the former Ground Round current property. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer those.
So I have a question for the board. I think in the past, we usually, I understand you wanting to do the municipal impact questionnaire first, but I think in the past, and my personal preference is to see the actual Act 250 application and then see what all of the details. And you've heard our discussion earlier about the grease that is in one of the lines, and you've said something in your letter, but once it's in the actual application, then it can be turned into a permit condition. And I guess I would feel more comfortable with that. What's your timeline for submitting the application itself?
Currently, the application, we're in the middle of preparing it. We're still waiting on the traffic impact study. At the moment, as we know that was one of the main things when IHOP attempted to go in 2007 was that actual traffic. There has been the discussion and the client is willing to, if purchased and gone through the property, to inspect, and if there is that grease issue, kind of all the way down the line to that first public manhole. I believe there's 2 other manholes that are in the line that are kind of like a kind of private owned. Those would be included in there. So there's a good hunk of stretch of that they are willing to go ahead and move forward with. As far as in order to submit the application, they require the municipal questionnaire, just stating whether or not the services that you have the ability to serve those for the project itself. If there's any like questions or anything like that, like we can go ahead, we can field any questions. If it's more of like an updated maybe narrative or something like that that you guys would like to see regarding the project. This one's just a little different because typically we also go through a zoning department, and typically we have to sit in front of review boards. So a lot of time that's where we field a lot of the questions, not just straight with Act 250, which is the state. So it does give you guys kind of limited ability to sort of really get into the project itself and ask those questions. We can definitely, if you would like
Well,
to.
we
like,
have
can-
party status if we wanted to do
Yes.
that. So
Yep,
I'm
nope,
trying to
absolutely.
short circuit that a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, if you have any questions and stuff, we can always take those and we can, certainly write or give kind of like an updated cover letter regarding what those questions might be, that weren't necessarily within this cover letter for the impact study. As far as what's part of there, we don't assume there'd be any crazy, like as far as police or as far as fire protection, it's been designed to actually have a fire truck be able to circumnavigate the entire property. They are going to have knock boxes located there so that if there was any emergency there, that the fire department has the ability to get into those knock boxes in order to have access to the site itself. And then just kind of having security lighting on as kind of a crime deterrent kind of aspect of it. So if you're unwilling to sign tonight, we can go ahead and field questions, and we're more than welcome to give like an updated letter with some more information if that's what you would like.
That would be my preference, especially on the whole sewer line and the grease issue that we've had it. And you heard our discussion earlier on that. So,
Well, let me read the first paragraph of this questionnaire. This is put out by Vermont, actually, this questionnaire is intended to help applicants gather evidence to submit under criteria 7, municipal services. A letter or narrative from the town manager, select board chair, appropriate official may also serve as evidence. So they're simply asking for us to tell them that we have these services so that they can present that at the 250 hearing as saying the town says they have these services. So I see this as the horse and the cart comes after it. I don't see it in reverse.
Well, I think Mary's right, that we need to see.
I think we need to give them this so that they can present this to Act 250.
Right.
We don't get the Act 250 first because Act 250 wants this stuff first so that they can take this into evidence. So once we sign this, then they'll have it as evidence in their proceeding.
those of us who were
And it
involved
would be-
with the bridge
and
project
it would-
on Woodstock Avenue will remember that we were asked to do the municipal questionnaire, and we had reservations about some of the impacts on services then. So there, we entered into a discussion with the developer, and of course, Nicole Kesselring was the engineer for the project. So we were in discussions with her. Remembering what we just did and the concern we just expressed about the grease in the line, this is all tied in, and I would encourage some additional dialogue and some caution on this.
She's right. Yep.
So my point,
The other thing,
doesn't this just ask the town, if I read this right, letter A just says, does the town have the capacity to provide the following? And so fire protection, police protection, and basically road maintenance. I don't think that commits us to anything, because I have in my capacity as fire chief for 12 years, signed a number, checked off a number of these, and that. So usually the police department is asked if they can do that, and Chief Dumas would say yes or no. And the fire protection would go to Chris Clark, and he would say yes or no. And the road maintenance, which this is all on private road, so that it may not even apply because it's Route 7 is a state highway, and the entrance to this goes to Diamond Run Mall, so that's private, and so that may not apply. And usually we just get their opinions, and I think that they need to be asked, the fire chief, the police chief, and if highway wants to weigh in, that's fine, and we say yes or no, and then move forward. I don't think this commits us to anything, and you know, if this project had some problems that like we did on the Woodstock Avenue project, then Chief Dumas would say, yes, we can provide police protection, but we have the following concerns. Or Chief Clark would say, yes, we can provide fire protection, but we have the following concerns. And then the developer would have to address those concerns. So I think that we need to have our police chief and fire chief, and if we want Walter to weigh in on this, and that's the next step. This is not the board's job to fill out those, answer those questions. This is the department heads. That's the way it's always been done in the past. And then the board will fill in whatever when we become party status or whatever. Then our concerns would be weighed in afterwards. So I think we just need to forward that to those department heads and let them say yes or no, and then move forward. And we'll have this for this young lady in a couple of weeks with the answers, or they can get back to her right off. But that's the way it's always been done in the past.
This was sent to department heads last week. I forwarded it on to them already last week.
They have no concerns. They will, if
Has anybody responded? Have they said yes or no?
I have not received any follow-up. I had framed it as that will be discussed during this meeting.
Okay, well, and I don't think we had, if Chief Dumas or Chief Clark were available to comment on this, but they might all be off the air now, so we missed the opportunity. We probably should have questioned them while they were here.
I'm still here, Joe.
Okay, so do you want to weigh in on it, Ed?
The only issue I can see is if there's, in the wintertime, how far they drive, if it gets down on the highway, it will affect us in that if there's not salt on the road, it would cause an accident. That'd be my only issue I think at this point.
Yeah,
We have a good security system because we have a lot of homeless people living down there in the city, our towns.
shower time.
Right, so I just wanted just a quick comment that this is just a questionnaire stating not whether you guys have services, and that you have the ability that if for some reason down the road, like the fire department is, you know, like you have the ability to serve that area, you have a large enough fire service that could possibly do it. As Mary had mentioned, you guys will go as statutory party. So whenever Act 250 application does go through, you would have the ability to comment and any other questions and whatnot that you would have at that point. And that Act 250 would directly take those. And if there is any like specific comments that would kind of come from that. But we're more than welcome if you guys have any questions that we can go ahead and talk about those, and that we can, you know, if it's a matter of sending like an updated letter to Bill or anything like that, to kind of help everything along for the most part for it, that could potentially also help when you guys eventually get to Act 250 as well. We definitely want to kind of make sure like everybody's on board with the project, that everything is kind of in situation, especially like fire department, whether or not it has anything to do with like fire hydrants in the area. They're currently going through with another town right now, and we've been trying to incorporate as much of those comments and stuff through, because we know that working with the state can be kind of a jumbled craziness with the amount of departments and stuff that they also have. So typically the questionnaire is just to state that you guys do have the services and that you do have the ability to provide those services to us.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, and
We don't
I would
know
hope
for-
the board would approve it tonight.
We don't know.
I would
for
hope the board would
example-
approve it tonight. And
don't-
the,
Mary's talking now, John.
We don't know, for example, what your gallon per day usage of water is. And then, no, you've got, and that's not in the letter. And that's
Yes.
some of the
But
detail.
Mary,
The
Mary,
questionnaire does
Mary,
not state regarding water supply.
Mhm.
That's part of that, and
Well,
it talks about solid waste disposal, which is like trash ability and recycling.
I understand.
So
Right,
the
this
water
questionnaire
wastewater is going separate through Bill, so.
this is only asking us if we can provide fire protection and police protection without an undue or unreasonable burden. And it's a
Folks.
simple yes or no. It has nothing to do with any of the other parts of the Act 250 permit. They're just want to know if we can provide this stuff. And Chief Dumas has commented, and his notes would be there, and we need to ask Chris Clerk, and we just need to either say yes or no. We don't need to drag this on. The other parts of the Act 250 permit we'll get to.
Well,
And we'll get to the...
we may or may
when
not,
the time
Joe.
comes. What's that?
We may or may not get to the other part, because the next thing is the applicant will ask for this to be treated as a minor permit, and then without a hearing. So we would be notified, and at that point, we would have to decide whether we want to request a hearing, which will piss everybody off, if we could have dealt with this issue now. And I'm saying we've got a problem with the sewer line and the grease issue. We just spoke about that earlier in the meeting.
But the way I see this, that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not we can provide police and fire protection. And my answer to both of those is yes. We can do that.
And quite frankly, this whole discussion revolves around whether you're pro-business or whether you're trying to put a whole mess of obstacles that have no bearing whatsoever and that can be addressed in many other different venues and times, whether we have to request a hearing or not. We've already addressed the grease issue because we made amendments to the letter that make it very clear that we're going to hold the previous signers to that agreement, to their agreement, to make sure that it's clear. And obviously
Don,
that should...
I resent the characterization that I am anti-business just because I am raising legitimate questions. And if I will vote no, if you want to do this tonight, and if you want to move it along, the rest of the board should vote yes.
Well, that's what we're going to end up either doing or not doing, but I think it's, I just have to agree with Joe that this request is such a straightforward request that only asks if we're capable of providing services. And I think that if we're capable of providing the services, that we should indicate so, or that we should sign it, or I should sign it on behalf of the board. And then that can wait to have the yes or no parts of to be completed by town manager, department heads, or equivalent. And if they feel that we can provide this service, they'll put yes. If they don't feel it, they'll put no. And then the form will be filled out and it'll be done, and we don't have to put it off like we have put off numerous things this evening for other reasons. So what's the board's pleasure? You want to sign this or do you not want to sign it? We need a motion to do that. And a second.
I would like to have Chris Clark be the one that says yes or no. And Chief Dumas should say yes or no. That's their jobs. They're the ones that are the authorities on those two things. And those are the only two things that apply to us. And,
Joe,
and I think, what's
Joe,
that?
Hold it. Just a second, Joe. I agree with you 100%, but there's a spot on this form where they would check yes or no to those questions.
I know that. I understand that, Don. I've seen this form, like I said, a dozen times, and I just don't know. I'm assuming that Chief Clark is going to say, yes, we can provide fire protection and, for this car wash, but he deserves the right to say that. And if we missed it when he was there, so you got to let him say yes or no. And then down on the bottom, it would probably your position as chairman that you verify that what they said is true and go on. But they deserve the right, these two chief officers, to say yes or no on behalf of their respective departments.
Chris, are you still on? Because I see your name on the,
Either fell asleep or it's.
No, Don, that's me. I don't know why it's his name, but he has left. He's quite, let's just put it this way. He didn't like how the meeting started, so he's not here.
okay.
So how about, I'll make a motion that Don, we authorize Don as chair to sign on the bottom line of this questionnaire and have Bill pass it to the department heads to check yes or no. And once this form is filled, it can get shipped to KAS.
Motion's
I'll
made
second that. I second
and
it.
seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Now, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 I don't know.
All those opposed?
No,
No. I just,
May I just
Chair
make a
votes
comment
yes.
that we do still have to submit an application to Bill regarding the
Oh,
wastewater?
hold it, Tony. We're
Yep.
in the middle of a board discussion and vote here.
Okay, sorry.
There being a tie on the board, the chair votes yes, and the motion passes. And I will sign on behalf of the town. And Bill will circulate this among the department heads for their yes or no on the form.
and if they say no, what do we,
Pardon me?
if they say no, where do we go from there?
It just gets submitted.
We
with a no.
submit it to him and away it
The way it
goes.
gets submitted.
Say that again.
If, you know, say Chief Dumas ended up checking no, then it gets submitted the way it.
Yeah.
the
My
way it
only
gets checked.
concern is
That's all it
that
is.
I watched it down on South Main Street, down by the Mission, the car wash and the ice. And I've seen cars to slip and slide. So that's my concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure V-Trans will have a point in time, since that's a state road, they'll have a point in time to bring that up if that's up to
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
But Sharon, just I
Okay.
want to clarify that we are not doing anything here tonight other than saying yes or no, that we can provide these services. We are not giving them permission to build this car wash. We're not giving them permission to drag water and whatever out on the Route 7 or where. They're just asking if we can provide the services. And we have just going to have this circulated to the chiefs or whomever, and they're going to either say yes or no. And we're going to certify that the information is true and accurate. And that's all we're doing tonight. The rest of this stuff, I know that there can be some glitches, but if Chief Dumas said no, then they're going to ask why. And then we're going to get into the conversation and we'll get it figured out. So we could just move this on and get to the next project.
Okay. Bill, you want to give that call now to, okay, we're finished with that. Item E, board to review bid recommendation packet from Otter Creek Engineering for Post Road Water Line. The Water and Sewer Committee Chair, Kurt Hathaway, will give his report.
Yeah, I reviewed it and I agree with Robert Clark on the bids, and he's recommending that we go with Jack Bowling Excavating for the first section of $18,374.50, and then the option A for the option B was $50,145.25, which was considerably less than all the other bidders.
And you making that as a motion?
So move.
Motion's
Second.
made by Kurt to accept the Otter Creek recommendation on the Post Road Water Line for the contractors. There's a second?
I think
I'll
Joe
second
is-
it.
Did you second that, Joe? Okay.
I
Motion
did.
made and seconded. Discussion?
Was
So,
Robert
Don.
gonna come on again?
He said he was gonna try.
yeah,
Yes.
we need to hear from Robert, I guess, if he's still online.
Robert Clark didn't join. He was gonna try.
He did not?
No.
Okay.
he couldn't.
So, I just need to point out, and Kurt, I think you can verify this if you would, but I do believe $18,374.50 is to go up the north side of Post Road, basically up to the Stubbins property. And then
Yeah.
the 50,000, is that correct?
Yep, that's right too. That'd be the west corner of Shazana Drive there. Yeah.
Okay, yep. And then the 50,000 is to go across Post Road and to the Robichard resident. Am I correct there?
Yep. Yeah, there's some ledge issues in there. I think that's why the bid ended up being more.
Right, and they're gonna have to open up Post Road, and there's gonna be all kinds of stuff going with that. And so I was very upset with Mr. Robichard's comments earlier about us and the town and everything. In most so the town and the water sewer is willing to spend $50,000 to rectify a situation that may or may not be our fault, but we're willing to do this on his behalf. And I think his comments about us and how we're doing things were very poor and very disrespectful. As far as the services for water, they are normally run by a municipality to the right of way to a curb stop. The connection from that curb stop or shut off to the premises and the property is the responsibility of the property owner. We just did this on Ranbury Road. We ran that 8-inch main down. The taps off the main were made to the shut off, and then any landowner or property owner wants to hook on it, it's at their expense. This is the way it's done. And we are going above and beyond, I feel, to help out with this situation, as we have done to other homes on that property. And the board has been poorly, in very poor taste, made to look like the bad guys or doing something wrong. We are working within the framework we have, the timeline we have. I'm sorry it doesn't go as fast as people like. I think we are looking out for our neighbors. I think we are being good neighbors, and we are being good representatives of the town. And I was very personally offended by his comments and his actions that he wants to take. And it's inappropriate. We are doing what I think is just and fair, and it's what we've done in the past. And we aren't making any discrimination or anything else. So those are my comments.
So may I speak?
Yes, Mary, you're recognized.
I agree with Joe, and but I also have a question. How many, if we're spending $50,000 to go over to one property, how many other homeowners indicated that they would link up? Because I think we were in touch with 3 altogether.
Yeah, I don't remember, Mary, how many there were on that south side of Post Road. I know there was at least one, which is the Stubbins and the Robichaud's, but I don't know if I thought there was a second one. Do you remember, Bill?
It was Mr. Robichaud's neighbor, the other one we'd reached out to, but I don't. He hadn't really committed one way or the other. It was Rob Stubbins and Michael Robichaud that were the two that were really most in favor of this happening.
Was John Clark one of those as well?
Yeah, I think he's your neighbor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just below him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I remember right, there's only 3 residences on that side of the road.
Yeah. That
Where the
was
water
my
line crosses.
recollection.
Yeah.
So how many people are we spending $50,000 for?
It would be for 3 if everybody decided to end up hooking up.
4 if Mike is included, right?
Well, I think it'd be 3 if Mike's included. I do believe from where the road, from where that's going to cross the road. Let me double check. From where that's going to cross the road.
John Clark, Stubbins, and who was it? Who that?
Shannon's Drive.
There wasn't another one, was there?
Of 1.
Just, but that would be 3. Yeah.
From where it's crossing the road, it's going to be 1. I think it would just be.
At this time, it's just one resident.
Yeah, I think that'd just be Mr. Robichaud. Well, it says on this it's 1423 too, which. Yeah, so it's 2. Yeah, it's 2 residences for that side of the road. from where the line will cross by Shazana.
Okay.
So yeah, it's $50,000 for 2 residences.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So I think we're doing our fair share here, and I think we're being very good neighbors.
there,
And, go ahead, Mary.
well, I know Kevin Brown is on the line, and he pointed out to me that there may be some small grants available from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns to help with the actual hookup. And I'm probably misstating it, but so I agree with Joe that if we get the line there, we should not be responsible for hooking it up, and we should in no way say, yeah, the salt in the well was caused by the town. That's not what we're saying at all.
Mm-mm.
We're just doing what we've done for the other neighbors. We're trying to help out in a bad situation, and we've done it basically at the water and sewer users' expense. This is just out of water.
And to just to add some context to this, Mike, and for your benefit, there's 14,000 people in the city of Rutland, and they're all under the same agreement that from the curb cut to the house is their responsibility, and that's the way it's been for as long as I've been a resident around here, 70 years. So I would hope that you would reconsider, but that's your decision. In any case,
I would move that we accept the Otter Creek Engineering's proposal for Jack Bowen Excavating to do this project.
You mean you would second it? Because Kurt, I think, made the motion already.
He's backing me up.
Did he?
You're backing him
Well,
up.
and I'm double doing it. Let's go.
Okay,
Good.
motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Just this is for both legs of it, the 18,000 and the 50,000, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And the motion's unanimous and the contract is approved. Okay, one other item, and that is a nice letter that has been drafted for a scout, for an Eagle Scout. And I'd like to have a motion for the board to sign. And we'll have a further disposition of that at a later time. I have a motion to do that.
To do what?
Sign the letter of commendation for the Eagle Scout.
So moved.
Well, I'm on the phone with the meeting.
Motion's been made.
Somebody's trying to.
That's Kevin. That's Kevin Brown.
Is this the same one that we mentioned 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay.
So motion's been made and I believe,
Second, sure.
yep,
Yep,
and seconded that we sign the letter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous and we will sign. I'll circulate it for signature.
Hello?
The next order of business. Well, is there any other pertinent business to come before the board from the meeting, from the members?
I'm all
If not,
set.
the next,
I have one.
Mary has one.
I had raised the question when we were setting the agenda, I think, about whether we should invite Anil Sachdev, who I believe is still the manager for what is now the Cortina Inn, to come and address the board as to what his plans are for the Cortina and the homeless situation. I mean, we're making assumptions, but in the past, he has been pretty forthcoming about coming in and working with us on some things. And again, to be business friendly, we might want to actually talk with the business person at the Cortina to find out what his plans are. So I'd like to invite him in to a board meeting.
I think we'd,
Kevin denied
yeah, I
something.
think that should be covered, Mary, under our next order of business, which would be an executive session. I'd like our town attorney to speak to that there and not an open session. And the next order of business would be an executive session with our town attorney on attorney-client privilege to discuss a possible pending legal matter.
So move.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to go into executive session to meet with the
Let's
town
back up.
attorney.
Kurt, back up.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
My forms.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll get them to you, Marty.
Any opposed? We're now in executive session.
I think Don has them.
Pardon me? Meeting.
Did you have any more?
Move, we adjourn.
No,
Second.
we still have a man in the room, Mary. So, Mike,
Sure, yeah, I would guess I can speak to, some of you individually, but I guess it would be nice just to have the opportunity to respond to, Mr. DiNardo's concerns and also to some of the things that was stated. And I would just like to bring up that, I have requested a meeting to have open discussion, and I feel that I'm open to reasonable discussion because ultimately, and I thought it was pretty clearly stated in my initial letter to the board, which is now months old, that if the town is not responsible for the contamination, then they have no burden to do anything for me. So but if they do, then the onus is on the town to remedy the situation, and we can agree to disagree as far as, bringing the water to the property line is the remedy. But just, I understand that is how things go in the city, but I had not requested specifically to get hooked up to the town water. My request is simply, I do not have potable water at my house. And I would like that to be remedied. And I've documented that, I've shown it. And my understanding, and unless I'm mistaken, and again, I cherish the time to have a discussion, it hasn't been able to come to fruition. My understanding is that a neighbor up the road had a similar issue and the town put in a new well for him. So maybe that is not in the town's best interest to spend 50,000. I'm not asking the town to spend 50,000, but I'm simply saying I'd like clean water. So I'm not trying to force anybody to do anything that they shouldn't do. But that's just my position. And I just appreciate the opportunity to just respond to some of the comments. And my intent is certainly not to try to be offensive or anything else like that. And this, again, isn't my first time just coming here. This is now at least 2 months after the fact.
No, we
so
understand.
I just haven't gotten any response.
No, we understand. And there really isn't any response, Mike, other than what Mr. DiNardo said, which is we recognize that people have some problems. We don't know whether they're caused by the salt contamination or not, or whether it's the town's fault or not.
Sure.
But we don't really, the town's goal is not to get involved in a whole mess of litigation over this stuff. And the most reasonable thing to do was to extend the line, and we expended some valuable resources, and we just voted tonight to do that, to extend the line, to make potable water available to you if you want it. And that's, I can't say any more than that. We don't want to get involved with telling you that you're not right as to why you're not having potable water or not. We're just saying, we're going to make it available to you, and we would really like you to take advantage of it, and it will solve your problem at the very little cost to do it. Certainly a lot less cost than trying to drill another well and hope that one doesn't get contaminated.
Sure.
Because there's so much more benefit to having municipal water and a lot of benefits and maintenance to you and cost of the pumping and all the other stuff. So that's basically where we are.
And I do appreciate that.
And we would really like you to take advantage of it. We're just trying to serve our citizens, that's all. Sometimes it costs us a little more money than we'd like to spend, but then again, we're here to serve the public. I mean, that's our job. So I hope you, I hope you have a happy Easter, first of all. And thank you for your words, your spiritual words. They're meaningful to us. Thank you. Okay, if there are any other business to come before the meeting? Motion to adjourn.
Second, George.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're out of here. Hey, another early.